Do you guys want to hear about Thailand?
His behavior is almost pathological. He is almost like an elderly King Joffrey. He seems to go out of his way to be cruel. He seems to go out of his way to proclaim that he is the absolute power in Thailand.
In today's modern world, the idea of having a king and being one of his royal subjects is sort of laughable. Yet, for lots of people all over the world, the word of an unhinged sociopath is law. And no monarch better illustrates the dangerous role of modern kings like the King of Thailand. Now, even though King Rama X dresses like a methed out country singer, his net worth is north of $80 billion. He made his dog Fufu the chief marshal of the Thailand Air Force. He throws massive orgies, he's forced his bodyguard to marry him, and much, much more. Oh, and making fun of him or showing these pictures of him in a crop top will land you in prison, which is why this video will be having an insult counter, so that just, by the end we could see how long I'd be thrown in prison there for. Even while his country is in the midst of civil unrest wanting this maniac dethroned, he's too busy living in the German Alps with a harem of concubines / bodyguards, like if Bill from Kill Bill ran the Playboy Mansion. Yes, this is a story of how being so rich and so untouchable will almost always turn you into a fucking nut job. Oh, Jesus. Army Hammer, what are you doing here? You're not you, silly. But soon. So without further ado, let's dive deep into the strange world of Thailand's massively rich, abusive, and dangerous king.
More than half of humanity is under a lockdown. Thailand is no different. But while the people battle the disease, their king has chosen to go in self-isolation in an alpine resort. A unique kind of self-isolation too, with 20 women and an entire entourage. It sounds bizarre because it is.
And while King Rama is safely bundled up in his Bavarian fuck palace, he has no problem commissioning ads telling you to travel to Thailand.
It's the people, the culture, a blend of many things, a unique combination that will make your heart sing. Tradition and history, along with modern style.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's do a little history lesson. Now, while I'm fundamentally against monarchies and think they're stupid for just so many reasons, King Rama X had particularly big shoes to fill in Thailand. Man, he truly looks like if you just hit randomize in Cyberpunk. Anyway, let's get into his marital history. It's the groovy year of 1977, and the then Prince Vajiralongkorn has made the very groovy move of marrying his first cousin. However, he then cheated on his cousin with a young actress, and you don't do family like that. Now, despite there being tons of proof that he cheated on her, he just claimed that she was at fault. And because of Thailand's Lèse-majesté laws, you can't say anything to disparage the king, including disagreeing with him in any way. So if you were to say he was wrong in court, you would be disagreeing with him and would be in violation of the law. But we'll circle back around to this later. So he and the actress he cheated on his cousin with had 5 children before the two got married in 1994. Just a couple years into that marriage, he denounced her and disowned his 4 sons. However, it appears that maybe this woman actually fled with her children to Britain because she was like, this dude is nuts. Peace, we out. His daughter from that marriage is still in the royal family and is one of the only members we actually know anything about because she's a little more public and she even does some fashion design. However, the rest of the royal family is still shrouded in mystery as reporting on the royal family is illegal in Thailand. Now, in 2001, he married his 3rd wife, his lady-in-waiting, which, if you didn't know, is like marrying your assistant, which apparently went great until he randomly disavowed her as well and then had 9 of her family members arrested. Imagine going to prison because your granddaughter fucked a prince. This was the same wife that appeared in a bizarre video that was actually released through WikiLeaks. She's forced to wear nothing but a G-string while she holds his dog and they eat cake by a pool. The whole thing feels like a hostage situation. 2015 was a tough year for the prince as his prize dog funeral for your dog. Look, I can't even bag on Fufu, alright? Fufu rips. I love Fufu. He's perfect. I get it, honestly. I totally get it. Fufu's off. The prince's day had come, and he was finally set to become the king. The very same week of his anticipated crowning, he bizarrely forced his bodyguard to marry him.
Yeah, she looks stoked.
He wore a 15-pound crown, and the coronation cost the country over $40 million. Man, the range on this guy. From the crown of victory to Victoria's Secret. So now the demon prince has ascended to his fiery throne. Mom and dad were gone, and the real fun could finally begin. His first act as king was to move all the wealth and land assets from the Crown Military Property Bureau. Those assets were appraised at $70 billion, which ballooned his already $30 billion net worth to the heavens. Just 2 months into his rule, he made one of his Air Force generals his Royal Noble Consort, a title that hasn't been given out in Thailand in over 110 years since it's, archaic and just kind of a royal slam piece. The bizarre ceremony was even broadcast on TV, and the queen was forced to be at his side for it. Only a few months later, however, the king stripped her of her military rank and the royal consort title for supposedly plotting against the queen. They also arrested 6 other officials for, quote, evil actions. In 2017, he found out that pictures of himself wearing a crop top were posted to Facebook, and the king threatened to sue Facebook. So as I mentioned, the Lèse-majesté laws in Thailand make it so that anyone who criticizes or makes fun of the king, like I am in this video right now, you goofy little motherfucker, why are you so goofy? Like you look like actual Goofy, would face a minimum of 3 to a maximum of 15 years in a Thailand prison. But this 3 to 15 year sentence is for each insult. So if you insulted the king 3 times, you'd get triple the sentence.
A military judge handed this man 60 years, 10 each for 6 Facebook posts.
A record jail term has been handed down for insulting the Thai monarchy. A former civil servant has been sentenced to 87 years in prison.
He's been charged with 10 counts of insulting the monarchy for comments he made online. He could be sentenced to 150 years in jail.
This is the man who allegedly insulted the dog. It wasn't just any dog, though. It was the king's dog. Thanakorn Siripaibun, if found guilty, could face decades in jail.
And that last one wasn't even King Rama, it was his dad, the good guy. So they've always been abusing these laws, but King Rama's dad even wrote a book about his dog, which was then turned into a movie, and to even criticize that movie is against the law. Hell, back in 2015, 2 people detained for insulting the monarchy died in custody, and many taken into custody just I mean, the United Nations does agree that this might be casual use of crimes against humanity, but they haven't really done more than just kind of say that might be what it is.
I'm sorry I can't help you, Bobby.
The Lèse-majesté laws even extend to this movie about one of Thailand's kings in a historical battle. This film, part of a 6-movie saga about this king, was the subject of a critic and historian who challenged that the fight between these 2 rulers probably didn't happen with swords on the back of war elephants face to face. For this criticism, he was charged with a 15-year prison sentence, even though the king he was disrespecting died over 400 years ago.
Certainly, the Crown Prince of Burma died. According to the Burmese Chronicle, he was shot by Naresuan. According to the Thai Chronicle, the Crown Prince was dead by elephant combat.
Now, King Rama has spent almost the entirety of the last year in the Bavarian Alps, where he has a lavish hotel he rents out, surrounded by a harem of wives/bodyguards. And when he's not renting out this entire 4-star hotel, he travels on one of his 38 personal aircrafts, including 4 fighter jets, 737s, and over 20 helicopters. The amount of helicopters a person needs. Just maintenance and fuel for his fleet is over $65 million per year. Or maybe he'll pull up in a custom limo worth $2.2 million. Or who knows, maybe he'll bring one of his rare diamonds he owns, like the Golden Jubilee, which is a 545.67 carat diamond that's worth over $12 million. To put it in perspective, this guy is almost 3 times richer than the royal family of Saudi Arabia. He once told a story about not learning to tie his shoes until he was 12 years old because people were always clamoring to do it for him. He's much richer than the Queen of England, who barely clocks in at 600 million, but also, what the fuck? Why does she have so much money? She's ornamental. She needs like an ornamental paycheck. The Queen should make $20,000 a year. The Queen should make minimum wage. So what I'm saying is there's good good reasons for the Thai people to feel like their king is squandering their tax dollars, especially at a time where tourism is at an all-time low, and for many the choice is between opening up and risking illness or starving. And while the king continues to blow money, he's promised stimulus packages which have never come. So many protests have started in Thailand and spread all over the world. These citizens want their voices heard, that they feel like this monarchy is an outdated way of representing them. And while Thailand was never directly colonized, it was basically tutored by the British in how to have a monarchy. In recent months, the protesters have gotten more bold, even going so far as to project messages against the king onto the hotel he stays at. And Germany doesn't even want him staying there, as they've stated clearly they don't want people running their countries from within Germany.
We have made it clear that politics concerning Thailand is not to be done from German soil. On top of that, there are many bizarre reports about what is happening there.
Now honestly, since he has such strict laws about disagreeing with him, he could totally, I don't know, lie about their infection rates or their testing rates, like, our government or China's government. He would face no repercussions and have everything to gain in the form of revenue from tourism, which directly makes him richer. Again, I don't really have any proof of this because I'm, just an overweight comedian, but given how little he clearly cares for his own people, and how he probably doesn't really care if people in Thailand are getting sick because he's too busy at his Bavarian fuck palace, I don't think him lying about infection rates is that outside the realm of possibilities. So hopefully these protesters don't stop until some real change happens in Thailand. And since the king loves these travel commercials and I love a jazzy tune, I thought I'd put together one that more accurately represented the king himself. Who knows? Maybe having something like the world's biggest thermometer would be good for tourism, like the world's shittiest king. In case you're wondering, my insult counter's at 31, which means 465 years. Guess I can never go to Thailand.
It's the people, the culture, a blend of many things, a unique combination that will make your heart sing. Tradition and history, dance to the sound of science. Feast in the land of luxury. Immerse yourself in a place where dreams are made. Thailand, open to the new shade.
Hey, thanks so much for watching my video. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Check out another one of my videos, or if you already have, check out my podcast, Development Hell or Extremely Internet. I tell stories about movies that were really hard to make on one, and crazy internet stories on the other. I want to give a shout out to my Patreon patrons, Jake, Kevin, Marty, and Isaac. You're all beautiful, strong, sensitive boys, and I appreciate you all. Thank you very much for supporting me, and if you want to support me on Patreon, the link's in the description. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching.